Welcome back to the channel. This is Scott. Today, we're going to be talking a little bit about my struggles. Oddly enough, one of the comments I get pretty often from you guys on my channel is, hey, you type like a normal person. I guess I use all my fingers when I type, so that seems pretty normal. I didn't think too much about that, but later I got a little bit overconfident where I was thinking, that means I probably have a proper typing form. I type at around 130 words per minute. It's not the fastest, but I feel like it's pretty decent. So what did I do? I thought I could take the Ortholinear challenge. So I reached out to Drop and I said, hey, can you send me one of your Prionics? Because I feel like I could master this thing. Boy, was I wrong. This is a pretty cool little keyboard. It does a lot of different things. It has layers and the form factor is actually supposed to be more efficient. And you know what it's also very good at? Destroying the egos of keyboard YouTubers. Let's get started.
So, the Prionic is actually classified as a 50% ortholinear custom mechanical keyboard. So what does that even mean to be an ortholinear keyboard? Well, check it out. Instead of the standard staggered QWERTY layout of most conventional keyboards, the ortholinear boards placed all the keys into a perfect grid. The idea is that by doing so, you're able to cram the keys into a more compact form and allows for a more efficient typing experience. Essentially, rather than moving your hands around on the keyboard, you keep the hands in the same location and have the keys essentially be closer to you. You probably noticed there are much less keys on this keyboard. Then, how do you use the missing keys? That's the beauty of the layering system. The layer keys right next to the small center spacebar allows you to move up on the layer or move down on the layer. Think of this as something similar to like an apartment building versus like a big ranch house. You get the same amount of living space, but it's a lot more compact. In theory, this makes perfect sense, if you know how to use it. But before we go into my own experience, let's actually build this thing out first. Like other drop keyboards, the Prionic comes in this white and turquoise themed box. Inside this box, you get the Prionic case, which is made of aluminum and anodized to a certain color. The version I have is a purple Prionic. The case itself is very simple. It's essentially a big open box. The anode on this was fairly decent, and the purple color is more like a purple gray. It's essentially a tray mount keyboard, but there's a very interesting twist to this as well, so we'll get to that later. Also included in the box is the Prionic PCB, which is hot swap. Then you get a hefty stainless steel plate to go along with this kit. Finally, you also have a USB cable and some hardware to put this entire thing together. You first start by placing a little rubber feet on the bottom. Overall, there's really no guides for this, so use your best judgment on the placement itself. Since this is a fairly flat case, you may also want to opt for some aftermarket feet in the back to give it a more aggressive slope. Let's take a look at the PCB. As mentioned before, it's a hot swap PCB finished in black. As you can see here, it's QMK compatible, which is critical to programming the keys and layers for this little board to work efficiently. You'll also find the usual KO hot swap sockets as well. The PCB also has downfiring LED lights built in, but the case I have is aluminum, so these really won't do much. But if you do opt for the acrylic version, you could make this whole entire thing glow. Plus, this PCB has a speaker. Yup, that's right. I'm sure given the customization capabilities of this board, you could probably do some stuff with it as well. However, when you plug it in, you get this little melody. So remember what I said about this being a tray mount? It really is, but it's not the traditional standoff in the lower case design. Rather, you stick the screws in from the bottom like this, then it screws into the PCB itself from the bottom. Then you add the brass spacers right on top of the PCB to provide the right spacing between it and the plate. Then you drop the plate on top and you can either choose to screw it down with the nuts provided or just keep it off since the switches will keep it in place anyways. You know what's the best part about this Prionic? It uses only one stab and it's 2U, so it's so much easier to not to tune like 5 stabs for this one board. For switches, I decided to go with the latest AquaKing switches, supposedly one of the smoothest stock switches available, well, since it comes very heavily lubed. Once all installed, I feel like at least the AquaKings look fantastic, like little ice cubes. Then I finish off the board with a nice set of GMK Pulse set in the Mitolet colorway. The final product is a strikingly purple little Prionic. Fantastic. Overall, the GM key sets provide you enough different caps to finish off most boards. In this situation, the only snag I hit was with the oddly small tab key, which I had to use an N key to fill for it, but it wasn't too bad. Once all done, I excitedly took this for a spin because I thought this would be a breeze to use. And then, disaster struck. Yup, I went from 130 words per minute to 40. Quite the dramatic drop. Plus, the AquaKings in the north-facing orientation had terrible interference with cherry keycaps. You know, that must be it. I bet the interference was throwing me off. Yeah, let's go with that. So, I decided to swap the switches, and while at it, why not mod it too? That will help me get back into the groove, right? Right. So I did a reverse O-ring mount. Instead of putting the O-rings on the standoff, I put it on the screw in this case. Then I stuffed it with some Polyfill since that was pretty much the only thing that would actually fit into this little case. And I topped off the entire thing with a set of lubed and filmed Holy Panda switches to avoid the interference. Doing the mods gave also this little Prionic a nice little side effect. It has a nice little flex to it, which, you know what? I am ready now. Let's go. Yeah, that didn't do anything. I guess you can't really reset decades of muscle memory that easily. Fine.
Alright, so I told myself it's time to train.
Five minutes later. Thousands of tears later.
Well, there you have it. At the end of the day, I still could not break the 100 words per minute mark. If I kept on going, I would have probably broken something else instead. So I decided to just take a break. You know, one thing I do want to emphasize is that this isn't anything against the Prionic. The Prionic is just being a Prionic, an ortholinear keyboard. The ortholinear keyboards do have a sizable following and many people swear by it. After layer modifications and getting more familiar with it, I have people tell me that they prefer it over the staggered type. Plus, you can also add in cool little features like Bluetooth and LEDs and even more to this PCB. If you're the sophisticated type that can appreciate an ortho, hey, this Prionic is for you. For a barbarian like me, perhaps the standard staggered layout is best, but you know, I won't give up that easily. Oh, you just wait, Prionic. You just wait. If you're here, thanks for watching till the end.